this evening to welcome you to the 977th meeting of Nowra Toastmasters. And it's February and love is in the air. Well, so they'd like us to believe anyway with all that commercial Valentine's Day stuff. But I thought I'd share with you a little poem that I learned as a teenager, and it said, "The lilacs are flowering, sweet and sublime, with a perfume that goes to the head, and lovers meander in prose and rhyme, trying to say for the 1000th time, what's easier done than said." Anyway, so I shall now move on to the acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting tonight, inclusive of all those who make up the Dharawal and Yuin nations. I acknowledge the spiritual connections to land, sea and community, and pay respects to elders past, present, future, and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people here tonight. I would also like to share with you the mission of a Toastmasters Club. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. So I hope you'll join with me in fulfilling the mission of that Toastmasters, of a Toastmasters Club this evening. Just a few housekeeping issues, just to point out that this is our one and only emergency exit, just here. If you need to use the facilities, they're directly opposite, that's the toilets. And in the case of an emergency, if we could just proceed directly out of the door where you came in. Just a reminder that everyone should have signed in with the COVID app, and if you haven't, please do it at the break. We've had an apology for this evening for the person giving the toast, so we won't be having our drinks outside other than just at the break. So with that, I would now like to hand control of the meeting to our President. Please join with me in welcoming Linda.
Thank you very much, Megan. Beautiful start to the evening. Look at all those happy faces. The theme tonight is love and is in the air, and I'm going to assume that by the end of this meeting you are all going to feel really loved, because that's what I'd like to see as you walk out the door to go home, that you're feeling the love. So I do hope that we can achieve that tonight. I'm going to start this evening with welcoming a few wonderful visitors. It is so nice to see you all here. I'm going to start with a very new visitor who has not seen us before, sent an email. Sawandi has arrived in Australia from Sri Lanka the year before last, 2019, towards August 2019. So I hope we can all make her feel very, very welcome, especially as Sawandi has done some of her speechcraft course in Sri Lanka, and she's filling out an application membership form. So we are actually going to vote for her coming into our club this evening. So welcome, Sawandi. It's wonderful to have you. Now, Rebecca has brought with her a lovely visitor from work. Maxine, hi Maxine, has been hearing about Toastmasters and finally said, all right, I'm coming along. So I hope it can live up to your expectations this evening, Maxine. Thank you for coming. Daniel has returned again. He is also going to be voted in as a future member and inducted at the next meeting. Welcome, Daniel. It's lovely to see you again. Oh, wow. Kez, what a wonderful surprise. Now, Kez has been a Toastmaster for a long time, and then he dropped out of the Toastmaster with shift work and things, and he has come back to say hello. He was part of Nowra Toastmasters Club until maybe a few years ago, Kez?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, it's lovely to have him back to see us all this evening. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us. Now, of course, Heike has not yet joined as a member, but tonight we are going to vote her in as well as a new member. So, Heike, lovely to see you here, doing some jobs. Heike is actually a transfer member from Sydney, wasn't it, up around Sydney?
Glenbrook.
Glenbrook.
Anybody
And she's decided that we're the club she wants to continue her Toastmaster journey with. So she's also got some jobs to do. We love that. We will always give you a job if you know how to do it. Heike, welcome back. All right, that's all our visitors. Oh, well, actually, Swetha is still a visitor because she's being inducted this evening. So let's welcome Swetha back, our almost member. Okay, so let's get on with the business. What we need to do is our member induction of Swetha. We are going to ask our Sergeant-at-Arms Megan to take Heike, Daniel, Swetha, Sawandi, all of you, just head out of the room for a very short time while we vote on your membership tonight. So fellow Toastmasters, it is now our duty and privilege to induct a new member into the Nowra Toastmasters Club. Swetha has come to Toastmasters seeking to improve her communication and leadership, and we now have an opportunity to help her learn, grow and achieve. Please affirm your membership by saying I will at the end of this paragraph. Do you, Swetha, in the presence of your fellow members of the Nowra Toastmasters Club, make this firm obligation? To attend meetings regularly and prepare fully for each assignment. To apply yourself to the projects outlined in the Toastmasters Education Program. To participate actively in club activities. To evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner. To build open, friendly relationships with your fellow members. And to bring other new members into the club so that they can also gain the benefits of Toastmasters. Amen. Thank you. Would all club members please stand and say I will at the end of our, to our new member at the end of this. We, the members of Nowra Toastmasters Club, pledge to support you in your quest for self-development, to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, to give you opportunities to help others, and to make your Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. I will.
We will.
Yeah. So let's welcome our new member into the club, Swetha. This is for you to remember that you were inducted into Toastmasters. It has your membership number here,
Okay.
Toastmasters Club number for the day. You were inducted.
Thanks,
Welcome, please. All right, thank you, Swetha. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure this evening to introduce John Townsend, who's going to be our grammarian. The role of the grammarian is to introduce a word to us in order to expand our vocabulary, to encourage us to make use of the word through the meeting, and also to be listening throughout the meeting for perhaps the use of some figurative language, the use of the word of the day, and to comment on any ums and ahs that we may have smattered throughout our presentations. So please join with me in welcoming our grammarian for this evening, John Townsend.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you kindly. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The word of today is sanguine. S-A-N-G-U-I-N-E. A most unusual word, not used very often, but it's a very good little word. It's primarily used as an adjective, so you can, it means cheerful, happy, content, confident. So you can describe someone as being sanguine, meaning they're relaxed, comfortable, happy, confident. It can apply to any person or combination of persons, like a club can be sanguine with what's going on, etc., where they're up to, or a particular meeting, whatever happened to them. It's also got a second meaning too that's related, as you'll see in a minute. It's reddish or ruddy, as in someone's got a healthy glow about them, coming from blood happily circulating through close to their skin. And it's also used as a noun too, because it's related to, or it is, a red oxide based, iron oxide based crayon used for drawing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I commend you, sanguine.
Thank you, John. It's now a pleasure to introduce for you the speech session for this evening. We have 3 speakers, each of whom is working at a different level on their pathway, and we'll have the 3 evaluators. Now, our first speaker this evening is Kim. So, Kim, if I could ask you to come forward, because Kim is making use of an audio-visual extravaganza, and Kim is actually working on level 3 of your pathway, and your speech title is? Great. So Kim's speech title is Triggering, and it's on the pathway of leadership development. So level 3 is actually quite an advanced level on the pathway. It means that Kim has already completed the first 2 levels, which is quite a number of speeches, projects and evaluations. And I think this is your last assignment in your level 3. Kim, is that it? Yeah?
Length, please.
Oh, and it is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Yeah. So if we could please have the green on 5, the amber on 6 and the red on 7. And Kim's speech this evening is going to be evaluated by Kylie. So, for a speech entitled Triggering, please join with me in welcoming Kim.
John had gone to work that morning and the boss called him into his office. And John started to get worried, because when you call into the boss's office, you start to get worried. And he started to review what John had done the day before, and he wasn't happy with his performance. John started to get upset. He started to get angry, but he was okay. He was holding himself all right. But then he heard an angry tone in the boss's voice, because the boss had his cranky pants on that morning. So John started to yell, and John started to shout at his boss. And John looked very sanguine, he was red and ruddy, and he said, "I quit, I'm leaving," and he left his job. So, what happened to John? He was triggered. So my presentation is about triggering. So what I hope to do for you tonight, Madam Toastmaster, Toastmasters, guests and friends, is to tell you what triggering is, understand what happens, the reactions, why we get triggered, and how we can help. Thank you, Justin. So triggering is when we have our 5 senses stimulated to a memory that we've had in the past. So our 5 senses are sight, hearing, touch, taste and smell. One of the strongest triggers is smell. And it triggers us back into a memory that we've had, perhaps we've had a bit of trauma, we've had a big emotional reaction, and we get triggered back into that memory. And unfortunately, we have the same reaction on the spot as we did when we had the reaction earlier on. So John has been triggered by hearing a critical voice, and he's gone into a reaction that he didn't really want to do, because he actually didn't want to leave his job. He wanted to be able to hear his boss and keep his job. Thank you. So what are our reactions when we're triggered? And this is because our brain is so good at keeping ourselves safe. It's a very efficient brain that we have. We go into fight mode, flight mode, freeze mode, or fawn. Fight mode is what happened to John. So in his past, perhaps John was bullied at school, and he learnt to fight off the bullies, but he was very frightened. But that's what he learnt to do. So he's fighting his boss, but he's in his wounded inner child. go into flight, perhaps if you had a violent parent and you had to run from a violent parent, you learnt to flight. You might have learnt to freeze, and that's when you can't fight or flight, you actually freeze. You go into a numb state. And fawn is when you people please. So we can people please to keep ourselves safe when it's not really appropriate to people please, and that can happen, let's say if you're a survivor of sexual abuse and you had to people please a family member, for instance. That's just an example of that. So these are the reactions we have. These are the reactions we have automatically. We can't stop these reactions because that's what our brain does. Thank you, Justin. So just as an example, so you can understand what it's like to be triggered, because you might not have been triggered. I've been triggered. But you might not have been triggered, but if you've seen a snake or a spider, you'll understand what triggering feels like. So if a snake came into that doorway right now, our fear centre, our amygdala, and just go to the next slide and we'll show you what happens in the brain. The fear centre, which is in the middle of our brain, signals to us to feel fear. It goes into a memory file, our hippocampus, and it tells us that this snake could be poisonous, it might bite us, and we might die. So I think we're probably feeling quite frightened at this point. We don't need our executive thinking brain to think, is that a poisonous snake or a python or a diamond python? I should pull wires and put it out, on the grass. No, we just run. We go into flight mode because our brain is efficient in keeping ourselves safe. So we turn off our thinking brain when we're triggered. So we don't stay calm. We can't think like an adult and problem solve. We lose our cognitive function. We also lose our ability to speak as well. We go into speechless terror sometimes if we've been in a situation that's been very frightening. So that's our very good brain. When we calm down, maybe we've gone out to the grass and we've calmed down, we're thinking, oh, that was actually just a non-venomous snake, I'll call wise and I'll be fine. So we get our cognitive brain back online. Next slide, please, Justin. So that gives you an idea of being triggered. So our lovely John here was triggered at work, and I see clients like this that come to me and they go, I have had an awful reaction. I don't understand why I reacted like this. I want to know why I'm having rage, why I'm getting angry in situations and I can't control myself. And they find out about triggering, and it just helps them to calm and go, okay, I know now that I can help myself. I know how to start to heal some of those memories that you might have had. So John, in his sanguine state, where there is no love at this point, that's our theme for tonight. Here's his critical boss, goes into fight mode, and if you wouldn't mind showing us the next slide, this is what happens in his brain. He doesn't think about the actions that he has to his boss. He's not thinking, I'm going to yell at my boss and leave. He didn't plan that, it just happened because his fear centre is controlling him. So we call that a brain that's hijacked by emotion. And he's lost his executive thinking brain, and he goes into fight mode. So next slide, thank you, Justin. So how to de-trigger ourselves. This is the first way of looking after ourselves when we're triggered a lot. And the first one is to recognise we're triggered. So at any time when you've had a big reaction to something and you think that was over the top, it was too much, to be able to say to yourself, I've been triggered. And that starts to calm you down because it turns on your thinking brain, your cognitive function returns. Next stage is to speak the feeling. So it might be angry. I'm feeling really angry about that. I'm feeling very frightened about that. And it's important to look either at yourself in the mirror, or if you've got a support friend that knows how to de-trigger you, to look in their eyes. That's good mental health first aid. Look into someone's eyes, it calms them down. And then the third is to validate that it's okay to feel angry or frightened. And it's okay, isn't it? It was okay for John to feel angry because he was triggered. And then he might have been able to go back to his boss and say, look, I'm so sorry, I've worked out that I was actually triggered that day. So sorry, could I restore our relationship? So triggering, that's what happens, that's how we understand it, and that's how to help. Thank you, Advertising.
Thank you, Kim. That was very insightful. I actually wasn't aware of those things, so it's nice to understand triggering. Our next speaker is working his sanguine self to the front. Now, Mitch, I believe you're on level 2.
This one's from level 3.
Oh, level 3. So Mitch is working on level 3. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech from the Innovative Planning Pathway. And the objective is to connect to the audience with storytelling and to practice using a story within a speech in order to get your message across. Mitch is also giving a 5 to 7 minute speech, so we can have the same timing lines as for the previous presentation. And Mitch is being evaluated this evening by Linda. So for a speech entitled Bronze Medallion, please welcome Mitch.
Thank you, Megan. Good evening, Toastmasters and valued guests. This is a Surf Life-Saving Bronze Medallion. More specifically, it's my bronze medallion. Tonight I would like to share with you all the story of how I came to achieve this bronze medallion and a little bit about what I learned throughout the process. My journey towards achieving a bronze medallion started late one evening with an information session at Gerringong Surf Club. All up, there were about 15 people doing the course. There were people, a real mix of people and reasons for doing it. There were some people who were there to get the bronze medallion in order to supervise their children at nippers. There were some people who were there in order to row for the club. They needed a bronze medallion to represent the club. And then there were some people who were interested in volunteering as a community service. So we introduced ourselves, we learnt a little bit about the course, then we signed on the dotted line and adjourned for the evening. Our next meeting was at Kiama Leisure Centre, again late one evening, but this time for a trial swim. The course required that we be able to swim 400 metres in flat water in under 9 minutes before we could even start doing any training at the beach. Now I was quite a confident swimmer growing up, but I hadn't swum for some time. So I remember standing on the blocks feeling very nervous, diving in, slogging my guts out at swimming, finishing utterly exhausted, but thankfully just under time. Unfortunately for many other people in the course, they either took too long or had to abandon their swim. But the wonderful thing was that over the next 5 weeks, we all caught up with one another outside of the course to practice our swimming. We returned 5 weeks later and all got in under time. It's quite an achievement. During those 5 weeks that we spent getting swim fit, we were doing some coursework as well. So we'd learned a little bit about beach awareness, how to spot a rip, a little bit about flags and signals, how to use a radio, and did a little bit of CPR and first aid. Now, to my surprise, I actually enjoyed the first aid section of the course because I was able to share with the group a little bit of my skills and abilities. So when we had the CPR dummies out, for example, I was able to show some members of the group how to get a good seal with a mask, how to open an airway and how to get their compressions just right. So it was nice to be able to give back. The real challenge for me came during week 6 and beyond of the course, when we had to do some practical sessions. Now up to that point, the only board I'd ever used was a boogie board when I was 10. So I was quite unequipped or ill-equipped for using a rescue board. I remember standing nervously on the beach for one of these practical sessions, watching Amy, the first brave soul for the course to use a rescue board, paddle out. Our instructor Andy was on the beach, commentating for the benefit of the rest of us. Now, Amy was in what I thought was a reasonable position on the board, about midpoint. That's about right, even. When all of a sudden, Andy yells out, "Get right back!" Turns out Amy was far too far forward because she nosedived the board into the sandbank. After that sobering introduction, we all nervously grabbed our boards and paddled out. To my benefit, some of the younger gentlemen in the course who had done nippers growing up were able to give me some pointers on using the board. After a few practice sessions, I was able to safely get myself in and out, which I was quite proud of. A few of the other things that we did in these practical sessions was tube rescues, that's swimming out one of those floating buoys, wrapping them around someone and swimming them back in, handling an unconscious patient, and managing a spinal injury patient. We also started each of these practical sessions with a run, swim, run exercise. So that's running 100 metres on the beach, swimming 200 metres, then running 100 metres again. And we needed to be able to do that in under 8 minutes by the end of the course. After our 10-week course, before long, our 10-week course was bookended by assessment day. To ensure the impartiality of our assessment, we were assessed by trainers from another surf club. And in the assessment, there was no shortcuts. It didn't matter if you were doing the course to supervise some 10-year-olds on a Sunday, to row for the club, or to patrol the beach. We were all assessed to the same standard. And thankfully, we all passed. I remember after we were signed off, we joined together at the front of the surf club, dressed in our uniform. And I was quite proud of the achievement. Not just my achievement, but the achievement of the group. The course was a substantial investment of time and energy. And I don't think that there was anybody in the course that hadn't at some point been challenged and grown as a result. A few weeks later, we got some certificates in the mail and I thought that was about it. But to my surprise, at the presentation evening, we were all called up and presented with physical bronze medallions. So what did I learn through the process? Firstly, I learned the power of group learning. We learned as much through the course from each other as we did from the handbook or from the trainer. Secondly, I learned the power of standard setting when giving awards or achievements. One of the reasons that the bronze medallion has endured is because it represents a standard. Candidates are supported to achieve that standard, but the standard doesn't vary. So we can rely on our fellow volunteer surf lifesavers to have a certain skill set if they have a bronze medallion. And lastly, what was the last bit? I did learn something else out of this course. And yes, it highlighted the importance of recognising achievement. So I was quite proud to have achieved the bronze medallion, but to be called up in front of my peers and given a physical bronze medallion really added to that sense of achievement. So in conclusion, I hope that by sharing with you a little bit about how I came to achieve my bronze medallion, you understand a little bit about what's involved in becoming a volunteer surf lifesaver, and can take away some of the lessons I learned about the power of group learning, standard setting, and recognising achievement. That completes my assignment. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, fantastic. That is quite an achievement. Actually, not being a strong swimmer myself who never goes out of their depth and always stays in the shallows with the young children, I love it when there are people with skills around. It makes me feel safe. Our third speaker this evening is Rebecca Cooper, and Rebecca is working on Presentation Mastery Pathway, and will be giving a 5 to 7 minute speech this evening, whose objective is to basically incorporate body language into her speech this evening, to practice and refine how well she uses non-verbal communication when delivering the speech. So this is a level two on a Presentation Mastery Pathway. I will be doing Rebecca's evaluation for a speech entitled The 4-Gift Rule. The 4-Gift Rule. Please welcome Rebecca.
Thank you, Megan. I'd just like everyone in the audience to take a couple of moments and imagine themselves as a young primary school aged child, maybe 10 or 11. And as this child, you're waking up on Christmas morning. It's Christmas morning and you're a young primary school aged child. Have a think of how many gifts you would like to receive or how many presents you'd like to wake up to. You can decide, any number you like, just have a think. Those of you that would like to receive more than 4 gifts, please raise your hand. Wow, there's nearly everyone. Okay. Those of you that would like to receive under 4 gifts, please raise your hand. Okay, very interesting, but not surprising. A few weeks back, I read an article. It was about the 4-gift rule. And in this article, it talked about the insane amount of money people spend these days on buying gifts and presents for various occasions, such as Christmas and birthdays. There was quite a lot of information in this article, so I'll do a bit of a summary. The main points were that gifts can also have negative consequences. And a lot of the time, these gifts that are given at Christmas and birthdays, by the time the next Christmas or birthday rolls around, they're either lost or forgotten or in the trash or who knows where, could be anywhere. You might find them 20 years later, who knows? But what these gifts can do, if people have a lot of gifts, is can create negative consequences. It can create greedy, entitled children as they turn into adults. It can encourage children to become compulsive shoppers as adults, racking up insurmountable credit card debt, where they're going cha-ching, wiping their card, tapping their card on everything that's available in the shops. Some parents even give gifts as they feel guilty. And they feel guilty because these days, who has a lot of time to spend with people at work, wherever else, all their other commitments. So they use gifts as a way to make up for their lack of time that they spend with their children. And they overcompensate by giving them several gifts. However, having a lot of material possessions does not guarantee the child will have high self-esteem. And happiness is not in material things. That was one of the main points of this article. So what is this 4-gift rule everyone's thinking? Okay, well, the 4 gifts. Firstly, there is a gift, we'll talk in terms of children, so it's just easier in terms of giving gifts to children. So the first one is giving the child something they want. The second one is giving the child something they need. The third one is giving the child something to wear. And the 4th gift is giving them something to read. So I'll go back to the first one. So something for the child, something that the child wants. So this is the big ticket item. So usually children have an idea of what they like. It might be the new bike they see at the shop. It could be a new game for their computer or Xbox. This would be the gift that they want. So that's one. Then we've got the gift that they need. So this could be, depending on the child's age, for instance, a baby, it could be opening up a bank account for them so they have a lifelong savings habit. Or for an older teenager, it could be perhaps a new laptop for school that they might need, or a device. The 3rd gift, something for them to wear. That could be perhaps a new jacket for winter when it's cold out, or perhaps some new shoes to wear. Finally, the 4th gift, something for the child to read. So again, depending on the child's age, for a small child it could be perhaps picture books with cartoons and maybe those little golden books. I don't even know if they're still around, but they were when I was a kid, so that's what I'm remembering. For an older kid, for maybe a pre-teen or a teenager, perhaps maybe the Harry Potter series or a book from their favourite author. So they are the 4 types of gifts. There are many benefits of these 4 gifts, some of which I'll talk about. So the first one, most importantly probably, it saves the parents a truckload of cash. Could you imagine? Cutting back all those gifts, only giving 4. Wow. It also helps raise non-greedy, non-entitled children. The 4-gift rule is green, so there is less stuff going into landfill. It also helps lessen the chance of child labour in those developing countries. I'm not sure if anyone's seen those documentaries on TV where there's a country, maybe China, where there's the child in the mine digging out the heavy metals which are used to create the latest iPhone, which they sell for $1,000, but yet they're getting paid peanuts, if getting paid at all. So it lessens the chance of child labour in developing countries. It also teaches them good money habits, so they're not going to just spend all their money on gifts. Another big one, there is less clutter in your house. Now tell me that's not a good thing, less clutter in your house. Also, The kids don't remember the toys anyway. I mean, if everyone here has a think, how many toys can you remember as a kid growing up? I mean, sure, you probably can remember the big ticket items or, you know, the main gifts that you got, but it's highly likely that you can remember every single gift you were ever given as a child. So in conclusion, the 4-gift rule is about giving 4 gifts, in particular to your children or teenagers. And they include something they want, something they need, something to wear, and something to read. There are many benefits, including financially, socially, and environmentally. So the next time you see your friends with small children, or family members with young children, perhaps bring up the 4-gift rule, let them know about it. But only if you were game enough. It's not everyone's cup of tea, let me tell you. Back to you, Megan.
That was an excellent speech, actually. I must say, when I was 10 years old, if I'd only got 4 Christmas presents, there would have been trouble. Unless it was like a bike and a big Lego set, and yeah. Now we used to get many, many gifts, although a lot of them were homemade and knitwear and things we needed for school, but Christmas, the house was filled with toys, so thank goodness my parents had not met Rebecca when I was 10 years old. So now the part of our speech session is for each of our speakers to receive an evaluation of their presentation from an evaluator. Our first evaluator will be Kylie, and she'll be evaluating Kim's presentation that was called Triggering. Our evaluators will each have 2 to 3 minutes to present. So we'll have a green light on 2, an amber on 2.5, and a red on 3. So to give Kim some feedback on her speech entitled Triggering, please welcome Kylie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. What a great informational speech that we had from Kim tonight. I don't know how many people here know about triggering. I know there's some professionals here that know about triggering, and I thought Kim's way of engaging the audience was not speaking in that professional language, such as a doctor, such as a social worker, such as a counsellor. It was very easy to listen to, very basic understanding for anyone who may not have known about triggering. This was a presentation software speech, and I thought that the slides went really well with what Kim was speaking about. There wasn't a lot of words in the slides, and there wasn't a lot of pictures, but the pictures that were relevant, and Kim spoke to them. So like the 5 senses, you had the tongue, the ears, the eyes. So you got the picture as you were hearing the words, which was really, really complimentary. There wasn't a lot of slides, which was good because it wasn't an information overload. It was a very basic, very, introduction to what triggering is. I thought Kim spoke very well, and you could tell that she's done this before. It was flowed, she knew her stuff, and it just came out. And she didn't have to go back to notes or anything else. It was really, really good. That you can see it's just a natural way that Kim speaks. You can see her standing in front of her counselling group or getting up and doing a presentation on triggering, which is really good. Some room for improvement to work on for Kim. The arms stayed here, midsection, and also pointing towards the screen. So that would be something I would encourage Kim to work on, is to put the hands down and not point at the screen. It's really hard to do because you know the screen's there and you know where the information is, but people are listening to you and looking over anyway, so there's no need to direct them to look. The only other thing that I would suggest, and I know that as workers we do this, is to say this may cause some triggers, because we're talking about triggering at the start. Because we don't know, John could be in our audience tonight. Sorry, not John. I just realised it's John. But John could have been in the audience tonight and went, oh, she's talking about me, that's it, I'm leaving. So maybe just, this is just an informational, this is, but that's pulling at hairs there for Kim. but really good. She used the word of the day, had really good body language, had really good eye contact with everyone. Very sanguine, I thought she was, and used that word and used the theme of the night in it. So a very good informational speech, and I hope everyone will something out of it.
Thank you, Kylie. That's some really valuable feedback for Kim. So one of the important things we get from our feedback is to learn what to work on next time. So every speech is a journey of learning. So that was fantastic. Thank you for that, Kylie. Our second speaker this evening was Mitch. And to give Mitch some feedback, please join with me in welcoming Linda.
This evening, Mitch offered us a wonderful story, and in amongst the storytelling, he also offered us the life lessons that he learned, along with the life-saving lessons that he learned during this course he's done. You know, Mitch really excels at putting together interesting, well thought out, structured content, and with a great speaking pace, great volume, interesting information, and beautiful use of grammar, in fact. What I'd like to see Mitch work on in future speeches, in particular, is the use of gestures and the use of this vast speaking area. And the reason why I'm going to suggest this for Mitch is that in his profession, I can see into the future Mitch needing to give lectures or conversations on a stage to maybe a whole room of professionals in his field of work. And I'd like Mitch to take the opportunity to use the practice sessions that he has with us to really pretend that he has a huge audience all the way back there, and he wants to make those gestures grand, and he wants to make sure he's heard back there, and he wants people to stay interested with his volume up or down, and with adding some interest into it to keep people awake and staying with him and in his speech, whatever it is. I'd like to see him add some fun or drama. Now, he did use a prop tonight with his bronze coin, which was great. I loved that. I'd like him to think outside the square and think about what other props could I actually use if I wanted to make a bigger gesture or add some fun into it. And that's a real challenge. It's a bit of an advanced challenge, but actually I think Mitch is up for a little bit of an advanced challenge. He's already, you know, really looking very comfortable up here on stage. So one of the thoughts I had was some extra expression in that particular speech or added humour could have been somewhere around where he talked about the poor woman who face planted into the sandbar, and could have got a bit of a giggle out of it for us. And so, you know, think about those opportunities when you're putting a speech together, and it's good advice for everybody when they're putting a speech together. Where could I add a little bit of something that's got some pop? But you know, Mitch really does put together a beautiful speech, and he's well practiced. He comes here incredibly prepared, and I always enjoy hearing Mitch's speech. So thank you for sharing with us this evening. Back to you. I'm going to introduce Megan now, because in fact Megan has an evaluation to do, and she is evaluating Rebecca with her speech on the four presents, four gift rule. So please welcome Megan to.
Rebecca, the four gift rule. Sincere, sanguine, very well prepared. Right from the very opening, Rebecca captured the audience. She was well prepared, she had lovely choreography, and she had this great engagement with the audience. And the opening with a rhetorical question, who wants more than 10 presents? And we were in Rebecca's speech. She caught our attention and she got us in there. We were curious, what is she talking about? You know, what does it all mean? What are the benefits? So I thought it was a very well structured, very well delivered presentation. It shows that Rebecca is quite an experienced speaker. I enjoyed the structure. I liked her telling us where she was going, and then I enjoyed the facts that she presented along the way. And not just the facts, but the benefits as well. Sure, there may be some negatives, but this is the positive. And there were many things to be gained. So it provided us a lot of information, and one of the ways that Rebecca connected with the audience was by picking a topic that was relevant to all of us. All of us come across people who lavish others with gifts. And it is great to take a moment's pause sometimes and think, is there another way? So I love the way that she introduced a relevant topic to the audience, because not only did it get our interest to start with, she held our interest throughout the presentation. Rebecca makes great eye contact with the audience, but one suggestion I would have to challenge Rebecca would be, and this is hard, leave the notes behind. I would just like once for Rebecca to cut away the safety net and just let us have it. And you know what, if you forget something, too bad. We don't know what you've forgotten, because we want more of Rebecca. And when you were sort of coming back to look at the notes, we just for that moment lost the connection. And I just think to maintain the contact with the audience would just add just that little bit more. Rebecca is a very accomplished speaker. She certainly achieved the objectives of increasing body language, made good use of the stage, and I think just to work a little bit more on less reliance on the notes and letting the hands go to the side, an even better speech is coming. Oh, I'm the Toastmaster. So now, what we're going to do now is we're going to adjourn to just outside, because my good friend Heike has volunteered to do the toast. But because I cancelled the toast, we just need a few moments to get the water ready. So I'll get someone to...
It is going towards February the 14th, which is the day we're supposed to remember love. But let's be honest, we just had the biggest love fest at all, which was Christmas. And for those of you who don't understand it, that's a whole lot of other lesson about it. But I would like you to raise your hands, your drink, for John Lennon and All You Need Is Love.
Yes.
Because when you think about it, sanguine or boring? Exciting or nervous? Confident or arrogant? How we choose to describe someone and how we look at things, the real difference is, do we have love in it or not? Because as we love things, we find the positive words. When we don't love something, we find all these lovely words which say that what is confident in one is arrogant in the other. So all we need is love. So please, John Lennon said it very nicely, all you need is love.
All we need is love.
Good evening, everyone. I'm wearing another hat tonight. I'm the table topic master for this evening. Love is in the air, and taking a quote from Hiker outside, I'm going to quote another John's, which is John Paul Young. Everywhere I look around. He had a famous song with that too. Tonight's theme is, because it is love, I'm actually going to run with Romeo and Juliet as such, and they're just titles. I'm going to make all my odds Romeos and all my evens Juliets. And I'm going to give you an opening line to start the correspondence. And it might start with via mail, it might then step into a phone conversation perhaps in the middle part, and it might finish with a date, but I'm going to give you some lines to hopefully guide you in that direction of where the romance might go. Sorry for the I do have a couple of little props, and if Romeos want to use those they can. I have brought them from my garden, so just check there's no spiders before you hand them out. So to start in tonight's table topic, impromptu speech, I've chosen Kylie to be my first Romeo, if she could come away from the videoing. So the first Romeo will start the evening with Juliet. Dear Juliet, it will be a correspondence through mail. I notice thy presence last Sunday when I looked across the aisle during church service. Thank you, Tyler.
I've never listened to Shakespeare, so I have no idea, but I've seen the movie. So there I was, sitting in church, which is a huge thing because I haven't been for a long time, even though it's across the road from me. I was sitting in thy church and I saw Mr. Bublé sitting on the other side of me, and he was singing the hymns "Fly Beautifully." I was enraptured by his beautiful singing voice that I forgot to take a selfie. I think it is really important to take selfies when you see someone that you really, really love. And in a church setting, around love and being, full of love that he sings, in a church full of love, I forgot to take the selfie. I think that I would next time remember to take my camera and probably watch a little bit of Romeo and Juliet before I go to church. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. I forgot to, Mr. Bublé, Romeo is now Mr. Bublé, so I knew it would take a different direction. I forgot to mention that with the speakers this evening, you'll be put on notice, or you'll be given a 1 minute timer, which will be green, and then you'll have an amber timer at 1.5, and you'll be given notice for 2 minutes on red. Okay. My second speaker this evening, my first Juliet, I would like to call on Sweffer to come out. I was hoping the first correspondence wouldn't be more this verbal. I was hoping it was going to be written conversation, and I did give Sweffer the lines of our Juliet, the lines of, dear Romeo, you have the advantage as I do not know what you look like. But Mr. Bublé is quite famous. Do you know who Mr. Bublé is?
No.
There we go. You might be able to ask some questions in your letter. Thank you.
Sorry, am I writing a letter?
Yeah. Dear Romeo.
To Romeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Bublé. Yeah.
Mr. Bublé. I think you're all familiar with Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, but I'm taking you to a different story of Romeo and Juliet. When I was Juliet, Romeo was my husband. It was a completely different scenario, which is very against with the Romeo and Juliet story, what you heard of. Maybe I can bring in the scenario of our marriage. Unlike here, we had an arranged marriage when my husband was all new person to me. I mean, Romeo was all completely a new person to me, and I was Juliet, and there was none in the story, only Romeo and Juliet. Thank you.
Actually, Ben, if you want, we can take that Toastmaster seat at the front if you like.
Oh, I might, yeah, it might save me a few kilometres, but I've got to say something first.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sweffer. I'd like to paint the picture now, where into the next, before I announce my next odds Romeo. Juliet's not home at the moment. Please leave a message. Hi, Juliet, this is Romeo. Please pick up. I'd like to call Kez up to take up the conversation from there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say I'll say what I feel being here amongst all of you tonight. Interestingly, within Shakespeare, there are lots of references to blood and to same wine. as a medical person, when a person loses all of their blood, they exsanguinate, so they lost their blood. So the opposite of exsanguinating would be feeling pretty damn good because you've got all of your sanguine within you. Within that, Juliet, if you could answer me please, because I've cut myself shaving and I just remembered I'm a haemophiliac. If you could pick up, it would be really, really good because I need somebody to come around and apply pressure. Other than that, Juliet, I miss you a lot. My heart beats for you. I don't know why you never answer the damn phone at all. It is really, really irritating. I think it's just something that women do. They never pick up. They have mobile phones, but they just don't answer them. He said with a sexist cliche. Have you ever... However, also, Juliet, did you notice though that when you watch a lot of Netflix and a lot of movies and you come finally to watch Shakespeare, he's really cliched. It's an in-joke for Shakespearean people. But anyway, Juliet, I think we're running out of time now. It's about to go beep. So thank you very much. Please call me back ASAP. Love you. Bye.
Wow, thank you, Kez. I thought for a minute there you might be trying to break back into the window and erase some of the messages. Your use of Seguin was excellent, and I can see your background there. But based and flowing a little forward from there, my next Romeo, or my next, sorry, Juliet, we'll start the conversation with Romeo, Romeo, Romeo. Oh, I've just realised I don't know what your second name is. I'd like to call Mitch up to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Okay. Romeo, Romeo. I can't remember what thy second name is. Because when I glanced across you at the bar the other evening and we exchanged numbers, I didn't quite grab your surname. I was too enamoured with your Michael Bublé sounding good looks and the shaving rash that was, the shaving wound that was on thy face to recall what your, to jot down your surname. Perhaps I'd had too many fine beverages that evening and was too merry in good company. I think that's it.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate you getting up because I know you had a very big speech earlier on and I did enjoy that. Our next Romeo will finally meet his Juliet, and he has noticed how much blonder her hair is and how much more sanguine her skin appearance is. And on that note, I'd like John to come up and continue the conversation if he could. Thank you.
Juliet, oh, it's so good to see you. Juliet, you're 6'8". Now what are we going to do? We'll have to buy a bigger bed. There's other problems as well. The chairs aren't big enough. What? Oh. You mean you keep hitting your head on the door jamb when you go through into the lounge room? It's all too much. All right, we'll get a new house. Julie, it really is good to see you, darling. when we're going down the street, can you walk slower, please? Because my legs aren't long enough for you. Julia, we don't need to do any more talking, do we? Good night, folks.
Thank you, John. You had me sitting there. In the end, I wondered who I was sitting with. I thought I might even been with Goldilocks or the Three Bears or something like that might have been there. Now that they are sitting together, Romeo and Juliet, they're just going to conclude their meal. And great meal, Romeo. Just wondering if you know of any good names that might be for a boy or a girl. I'd like to call up Daniel if you come on. I do apologise, I meant to break you outside.
Sorry, can I repeat the question, please? Because
Romeo and Juliet
jobs
have
up and down.
just been dining their first meal together, and Juliet has said to her, Romeo, because you're Juliet, thank you, Romeo, great meal. Do you know any good names that can be used for either a boy or a girl?
Names that could be used for a boy or a girl. I've always thought about this as a father, and some of the names I would name my child are not the same as what my Juliet would have named. So I initially wanted to call my son Jesus, a good religious name, being in Jesus, but he wasn't Latino enough. So next one was Hector because of Love Island, but she wasn't up for that either. So we just went for a plain old name like Jacob, unfortunately. But on the other hand, my daughters, I've got 3 of them, all palindromes I tried to go for, so you can spell them backwards. I always thought that was interesting. And I tried getting one of my children named as a computer game, but the wife didn't go for that. Anyway, that's about for the names. Thank you very much for the question, I suppose.
I'd like to thank all our impromptu speakers tonight. I was hoping it'd sort of flow, but I might have made it a little bit difficult. But look, thank you for participating. All those. Can I call on Madam Toastmaster to continue with the meeting? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, to give our impromptu Romeos and Juliets some feedback, it's my pleasure this evening to introduce, firstly, our odds evaluator. Please join with me in welcoming Jen.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madam. It's my pleasure to be the odd evaluator. My first impromptu speaker was Kylie. Yeah, Kylie stand out and she had a clear voice and she, I know, it's a bit hard when I look at the topic like given by Grant or so it's a bit difficult. And I know, and then you try hard and try to think about how to deliver the speech, and yeah, you have done a good job. And my improvement for Kylie. Maybe you can just describe more about the man you want to meet in the church. Yeah. I will take advice before I need to read the Romeo and Juliet book. Yeah, and my second speaker, kids. Yeah. Kids is a experienced speaker experienced speaker. You make use all the gestures, and then kid had a good thinking. You can easily connect all the sequence and then bring and deliver the speech. Yes. My improvement for you is in the beginning, like you can put your arm straight. Yeah, beginning like you just put your arm at the back. Yeah. So this is one of the improvement for you. Thank you for the speech. And then my third speaker, John. John stay calm when he call out to the stage. I can't see any nervous on your facial. And then John has used different vocal variety to differentiate the Romeo and Juliet. I think this is a good try. Yeah, and I like the end, the awkward ending conversation. Like we have no more conversation. That's it. Sorry, I don't have. I don't have any improvement. Back to Thomas, madam.
Thank you, Jim. Always great to get some feedback and some words of encouragement. To give some feedback to the even-numbered impromptu speakers, please join with me in welcoming Justin.
Thank you very much. So, interesting topic. When Glenn gave me the sheet, I was going, oh, good, I'm not doing this. So I had first speaker was Weefa, Mitch, and then Daniel. So what you did together, I'm going to say what your strengths are, because you seem to all have the same strengths. So hard question. Well done for giving it a good try. You came up here and you spoke clearly. All you three did that was great. Understood what you're saying. Appreciate the story you had to make up, but that was nice and clear. You stayed away from the stand and you tried to move your arms around and vocal, which is really good. As an So you spoke clear, you try to think of the story, but just remember for improvement. Pause, give you time to think of something. Introduction, middle, end. Try to work in that system, but all up, you gave a very good try. You should all be happy with that. And well done, congratulations.
I'd like to congratulate Chin and Justin on doing their first evaluations before the club, so great effort, both of you. Now, I'd just like to remind everyone about the voting slips. So our speakers this evening were Kim, Mitch and Rebecca. Our evaluators were Kylie, Linda, myself, Chin and Justin. And our impromptu speakers, this will test me. Okay. So we had Shwetha, we had Mitch, we had Kez, we had John, and we had Kylie. Is that six?
And Daniel.
Oh, Daniel! The name, what palindromic names did you pick?
Yes.
You left us in suspense, man. Come on!
Hannah
and Eve. Sorry? Hannah and Eve.
Yeah.
Did you say you had three?
I do. We could come to an agreement for our son.
Ah.
I've got 4 children, but Bob didn't really cut it. The wife wasn't going for it.
Yeah, so the we're for Bob. He's really good at it, yes. Anyway, so I'd like to remind everyone about their voting slips. So I will come around to collect them in just a moment. And I'd now like to introduce again our grammarian to give us some idea how we've gone this evening with our ums and ahs and our use of the word sanguine. So please join with me in welcoming John.
It's compliments to you all tonight. It's one of the best records I've ever seen. The word of the day, twice from Megan, once from Kim, once from Kylie, once from Glenn, once from Hiker, and twice from Kit, was it?
Kez. Sorry? Kez.
Ken.
Kez. KZ.
Oh, okay, yes. Now, ums and ahs. Again, the scores are pretty low. Linda came up with 1, Kim came up with 6, Mitch with 4, Glenn with 2, Jim with 6, Justin with 6. And filler words, sorry, that was a filler word. Linda had 5, and that's it, folks. Well done all.
Thank you, John. It's now my pleasure to introduce the hardest working member of the club, the timer for this evening. Please join with me in welcoming Hiker.
Thank you. And we started the meeting 2 minutes late. Naughty, naughty, naughty. But we caught up very quickly. Sergeant Megan, 2 minutes and 13. The President warm-up session and VP alteration altogether was under 12 minutes. The Toastmaster, instead of 5 minutes of entertaining us, gave us 18 seconds of jump in and enjoy. Sengwen, 1 minute 43 to introduce us to that word. Kim, you run over time, I think you know that, 8 minutes and 9 seconds, not counting the 30 seconds dealing with the overhead stuff. Mitch, 6 minutes and 33. Rebecca, 6 minutes and 51. Kylie, evaluation, 3 minutes and 11. Linda, 3 minutes and 4. Megan, 2 minutes and 14. The break, we came back again 5 minutes late. I know, but table topic. Instead of having the 2 minutes, we were stunned. So much love in the air, it took our breath away. So instead of 2 minutes, we have 1 minute lots. So Kylie, 1 minute 21. Swetha, 1 minute and 1. Kez, 1 minute and 23. Mitch, not even a minute. 50 seconds. John, 1:25, and the use of pauses. Amazing. Dan, 1 minute and 13. Odds evaluation, 2 minutes and 33. Evens, 1 minute and 28. And that is what we've done tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Heike. So I've now assumed the role of Master Evaluator. I've just got putting a different hat on. So I very much enjoyed the meeting this evening, but obviously because of the roles I've occupied, I won't be reviewing the Sergeant at Arms or the Toastmaster roles. But Linda, as our warm and welcoming president, got us off to a flying start, always conducts her assignment in a very professional manner, welcomed our visitors. We love having visitors to our meeting, and it's always important to us to make them feel welcome right from the very beginning. I like the way, in a very professional manner, Linda conducts the voting in of new members and the member induction ceremony. And I think by conducting it formally and in a very professional manner, makes people realise how important it is to our club to continue to grow our membership. So congratulations on that front, Linda. John is our grammarian this evening. What a wonderful word, sanguine. I think many people found the opportunity to make use of it tonight, so that just shows what a good choice of word it was. John started with a very strong stance. He'd chosen a word appropriate to the theme and gave us good gestures throughout his presentation. I felt that it might have been enhanced if you could just give us a couple of sentences. Sarah was sanguine after a walk through the hills or something, or just a couple of sentences so people definitely get the gist of how the word should be used. And I'll just also review John as the R counter. So he'd obviously listened very well throughout the meeting and gave clear and positive feedback for those people who are tending still to use ums and ahs during their presentation. So congratulations on a professionally conducted assignment, John. Our evaluators for this evening. Kylie evaluating Kim's presentation or speech on triggering. Kylie was confident and encouraging. I love the way that Kylie took charge of the stage. It's quite a large area here. We are scattered throughout the room, but I think we all felt included during Kylie's evaluation. One suggestion I would make for Kylie though is that you did actually have to come back quite close to the notes. So I'm thinking maybe don't go quite so far away maybe, that you could, or either that or write bigger. That's the other suggestion, you write really big so you can see it from a distance. And I know it's difficult during an impromptu presentation like an evaluation, but rather than ums and ahs, I noticed you used the word good many times. So if you could have marvellous, wonderful, excellent, as well as good, I think that would enhance the presentation. But it was a very positive and helpful evaluation, and I'm sure Kim got a lot out of that. Linda, with her evaluation of Mitch's presentation, lovely, smile, wonderful engagement, great eye contact, always very encouraging. Recognised Mitch's strengths as a speaker when he comes to the stage, and also challenged him to try and grow as a speaker as well. So I thought Linda made great use of the stage with good vocal variety. Oh, Linda, I didn't put you in point for improvement. Point for improvement for Linda would be, you must have hand claps at least once, I'm sure you did. At least once she clapped her hands, and best she doesn't do that again. Now, Hiker is like a toast, a VPE's dream come true, because someone drops out of the agenda and Hiker says, I'll do the toast, an impromptu toast at a moment's notice. Thank you, Hiker. And within the theme, John Lennon, who's not to love about John Lennon? All you need is love. Of course, all you need is love. So she gave us a little spiel about how when you like people, you use all these loving adjectives, and when you dislike people, you use all these really critical adjectives, but you know what? Let it all go, and all you need is love. So wonderful message, well delivered, and thank you for volunteering at short notice. So that was great. Thank you, Hiker. Now, Glenn, in his maiden voyage as impromptu table topics leader, Glenn obviously loves the challenge, as did the contestants this evening. So I would just like to congratulate everyone that participated tonight. I find the creative impromptu topics are the most challenging. So some people really run with the story, but for many of the rest of us, it does need probably a few more clues. So I would suggest that once you got them started, you might have wanted to throw in a few extra words as well, just to get them going. But you know what we love with an impromptu? Innovation. We love it when people try something different. And you know what? There's nothing better than revenge, because you know what? Now he's been impromptu table topics master, all he gets to do from now on is take part. So everybody else will get a chance.
I could be a nun somewhere in the future.
But I do love an innovative presentation. And the only other suggestion I have for Glenn is we'd love to keep the podium warm. So sitting at the front means that you can get up and back fairly quickly. That's all. Just got to keep the energy level high. But it was a very well thought out presentation, actually. And as I said, we do like a challenge. So our two evaluators this evening. So Chin evaluating the odd numbered speakers. Chin gave good encouragement. She had clearly listened well during the presentations, but I think Chin recognised that the assignments were actually quite challenging. So my suggestion for Chin, always leave your pen behind. So I know when you're evaluating, you're writing all the time, and the temptation is to bring it with you, but you actually have to leave that behind so that we can see your lovely hand gestures. And to remember to speak in the third person. Justin, great volume, good use of humour, and he took an interesting approach in grouping the three speakers together. What I would like to see Justin try is stretch it out just a little bit further. Justin, you had 3 minutes, so you could have probably gone into a little bit more depth, but your suggestion of the impromptu being a mini speech is exactly right, and that would have, a bit of structure would have actually helped the respondents structure their answers even better. So hiker as the timer. Hiker, that's the next one. You remember that book? Yes. Yeah, hiker as the timer. Very professionally conducted assignment, well delivered. It was lovely to see her express the timing compared to what our goals for timing were, and it keeps us all honest. So very well conducted assignment. And with that note, I would now like to introduce to you our area director. So we invited our area director to our meeting, which we do probably about 2 or 3 times a year, would you say? And so the area director has a role where they visit various clubs within the area in order to make sure that we are fulfilling our objectives as a Toastmasters club. So to provide us with some feedback on how we compare with other Toastmasters clubs and how we're tracking, please join with me in welcoming our area director, Kylie Rayner.
Just because I know we're running short on time and we've got to go through minutes in a minute, so I'm just going to keep it very brief, and I might take another 2 minutes next meeting. I'm really happy with how Nowra Toastmasters is running, and the community that we have together I think is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's really hard to be part of a good club and have to find things to club to improve on. I've picked up some different things, and it is just plucking at hairs, so there's stuff that the executive will work on. I'd like to see, and I know some of the executive have already started talking to people, members, about executive roles, so if you're interested in an executive role, please put your hand up. It's really important for the club to keep going. The area contest is on Saturday the 20th of February, and it will be starting at 1 o'clock. It's on Zoom, so you don't even have to get dressed up. You won't even be on video, so you can wear your pyjamas. So it just doesn't even matter. Saturday afternoon, I'll be sending out more information about that. The club's DCP points is looking very, very good this year. We may even get President's Distinguished, which will be the first in many, many, many years. So that's really good. And that's the hard work of the executive team, as well as the members. Anyone want to be an area director? Please consider me. That's a great job. Club memberships are due. I know the Nowra Toastmasters treasurer has sent everyone out a reminder. So she's done a good job this week of that. And you'll notice that Kylie also sent out links last week to all the members of the different Facebook pages, Instagram, LinkedIn. There's Meetup, there's Eventbrite, there's all these things that you can, if you can connect to them, so then it's getting more and more information out about our club. I know that Kylie will also be doing her pathway on podcast soon, and so I'm going to be starting to speak to different members to have a podcasting moment, a one-on-one with Nowra Toastmasters. So that's going to be coming up soon too, so be looking out for those emails. But I will send the link out for the area contest. As I said, it's via Zoom. You can just get on and have a look and see what's going on, and support Megan and Carol from our club, and Patricia and Joe Norfolk from Kiama. So it's only going to be, it's international and evaluation speech, but there's only 2 members from each club, and there's only 2 clubs, so it's not going to be a very long day, so please come along.
Thank you, Kylie. It's now my pleasure to introduce Linda to do the awards and also run through the business meeting. Please join with me in welcoming Linda.
Thank you so much, Megan, for doing such a wonderful job jumping in to do Toastmasters this evening. Can we congratulate you? And for our area director, who does an amazing job, a frangipani.
Thank you.
She's worked very hard this year, and if you can help at this the Zoom meeting, that would be fantastic. You're still looking for people that can help out. She will train you, all right, so do ask her if you can manage to help out on that day. All right, the fun part of the evening. As chosen by you, we have a best speaker, a best evaluator, and a best table topic. Let's start with the best speaker, which goes to our very own Kim for a wonderful Welcome. Really enjoyed that speech, Kim. Well done. Our best evaluator, as chosen by you, was me tonight. Thank you very much. And I just got to tell you, for someone who has been out of it for quite some time, Kez, you've still got it, mate. And I just let you know, he knocked it out of the park as well. Well done, Kez. I hope you're coming back. We'd love to hear more, we really would.